In an earlier video, we saw how the named tuple from the collections module addresses some of the shortcomings of the built-in tuple. However, the named tuple itself is missing some things. And what I'm talking about is type information. As of Python 3.5, you can include type hints. And the named tuple in the standard library, or at least in the collections module, does not address this. Therefore, in the typing module, in the standard library, there is also a named tuple. Notice that this one uses, this time the name uses camel case. And I actually need to say from typing import named tuple. There. So what's different about the named tuple in the typing module and the named tuple in the collections module? Let's create one and find out. I'm going to call this example typed endpoint, and it's going to be a named tuple. And already can see that it still takes a string for the name. So we'll say typed endpoint rather. And then we'll look at the fields. Now in this case, it says that the fields are an iterable, again, but it's an iterable of tuples. First element in each tuple is a string, and that's going to be the field name. And the second element in the tuple is any. And that's going to be the type of that field. Therefore, could start off with a list. Will be for the protocol, and the type will be string. The second tuple will be for the domain, and its type will also be string. And the third tuple will be for the port, and its type will be int. Now I can use this just like a named tuple. I can say example equals a typed endpoint. But this time notice that the hints are giving me the type information as well. So protocol equals HTTPS, domain equals example.com, and I realized that for the previous example the previous video rather, I was using port 80 for HTTPS, which of course is wrong. It's port 443. Now I can actually copy this and paste it and close it off and run it, and it gives the same result. You may be asking yourself, are the types enforced? Well, as you can see here, it says that the port is an int, the domain is a string. However, because it's Python, and the type hints are optional, it still works even if I make the port a string. So you'd have to run this through something like MyPy. Now there is one thing that you cannot do still. And if I were to try to say example.protocol and change it to perhaps HTTP and then run this, get an attribute error that it can't set the attribute, and that's because a named tuple in the typing class and a named tuple in the typing module and the named tuple in the collections module and a tuple period, they're all still immutable. So there's a way to address that, and we'll see that in a future video.